Hello class, this is part 2 of chapter 37. We'll be looking at partnership operations. That would include rights, duties, and liabilities. All right, so let's take a look at what we have covered so far. We have talked about formation, and you understand that a partnership is basically an agreement between two or more persons to operate a business. Now, in that business, unless it's otherwise stated in their partnership agreement, each partner has equal management rights, equal power. They'll have an equal vote, regardless of their capital contribution. All decisions are made by a majority of the partners, except in certain cases where a unanimous decision is required. Now, what sort of decisions require unanimous consent or agreement of the partners? Well, if the partners want to alter the nature of the business or start a whole new type of business, if they want to bring in a new partner, they want to alter the capital structure, those would be cases as well that would require full consent of the partners. We'll continue now. What else? What other decisions require unanimous consent? If there's a collection matter against the partnership, and the partners decide to settle it, they're going to assign some asset of the property over to a creditor. All the partners need to agree. If there's anything that will make the conduct of the business impossible, if they're going to confess a judgment, basically meaning against settlement or a lawsuit against them, or if they're planning to amend the partnership agreement, there will be a requirement that all the partners agree. We'll continue with partnership rights with the next point. Each partner has a right to know the information about the partnership business. Each partner has a right to inspect and copy all the books and records, and each partner may, on occasion, demand a formal accounting be done. All right, now, partners take no salary for their work. So unless they've made an agreement among themselves that a partner will receive compensation for work done on behalf of the partnership, the only monetary payment that a partner will receive will be their share of the profits when it's decided to pay out the profits. Right? So I had clients in the past. They were in a joint venture. It was a group of people, and they each had their own either partnership or corporation, and they joined together in a partnership basically, but because it was for a very short-term project, at least that was what was expected, we called it a joint venture. All right, so joint venture, general partnership, they operate pretty much the same. All right. Now, one of those partners, though, my clients, took on the responsibility of managing the real estate that they had purchased together as part of their joint venture. And it went on for months. It actually went on for a few years. Not expected, all right, but it just continued. And so it had to be negotiated that one partner would receive compensation for doing that management work on an ongoing basis. All right? But otherwise, unless that had been agreed to, there would be no monthly management fee paid to that one partner who took that on. Right? So that's basically an illustration of this point. No compensation unless it's stated in the partnership agreement or some arrangement has been made. Right. We're going to look now at two fiduciary duties that partners owe to the partnership. Now, the word fiduciary, that might be a little new to you. All right, and I think of it this way. Whenever you see the word fiduciary, whether as an adjective in this case, or if you hear someone called a fiduciary, what that means, so it's a noun when someone is called a fiduciary, what that means is that this person is acting on behalf of another. So when we talk about a fiduciary duty, the person who has that fiduciary duty is not acting on behalf of themselves, but on behalf of someone else. And so when you act on behalf of someone else, you have to think about their interest, that other person's interest, and what's best for him or her. All right. So there are two fiduciary duties that we will see here in partnership, and we're going to see them again when we talk about corporations. Right. And those two duties are the duty of loyalty and the duty of care. All right. So the duty of loyalty is the first one we'll take on here. What does that mean? It means that the person who has the duty of loyalty, in this case a partner, must refrain from competing with or dealing as an adverse party to the partnership. And that would look like the following, all right? In order to fulfill the duty of loyalty, the partner should, one, avoid conflicts of interest. And so if there's ever a case where the partner's individual personal interests are conflicting with the partnership's interests, the thing to do is to disclose that conflict so that the other partners know, and probably also refrain from any kind of decision making, all right, regarding whether to take on the opportunity, let's just say. All right, that would be one situation where a duty of loyalty would come into play. Second point here, part of the duty of loyalty would be to account for any property or profit or benefit derived or taken from the partnership or through the conduct of the partnership business. Now, we're going to take a look at a case, and I'm trying to get my notes up here so that I can talk about it a little more intelligently with you. All right, we're going to look at this case, Meinhard versus Salmon, and I did want to go out to it in your textbook. I think I can manage that quickly enough. There we go. All right, so this is it in your textbook. And let me see if I can scroll down here a bit. All right, this is an old case. It's considered a classic case, and even though it's old, it stands for a very strong principle, the one that we're studying right now, that partners should avoid conflicts of interest, and if they do end up in a conflict of interest, the court will not support that. All right. So in this particular case from 1928, the defendant is a Mr. Salmon, and he has a 20-year lease for the Hotel Bristol. He enters into a partnership with the plaintiff here, Mr. Meinhard, and they split the cost of remodeling the hotel, and they agreed to share profits and losses regarding the operation of that hotel. All right, now 4 months before the lease ends, so that means that they've been partners for 20 years, all right, almost 20 years. And so 4 months before the lease ends, I imagine it's 20 years, all right. So the landlord proposes a construction project to Salmon regarding the hotel and the adjacent property. All right, Salmon says, good idea, I will agree, and he takes a new lease in his own business name, effectively excluding his partner, Mr. Meinhard. Right? He didn't tell Meinhard, and he closed the deal with the landlord. All right. After Meinhard learned about this deal that Salmon had made, Meinhard sued Salmon, and then he won. The Court of Appeals affirmed the case, the decision, saying that Salmon had breached his duty of loyalty. All right, I think you can see, right? It's not hard to see how Salmon has breached his duty here. And those same principles apply today. All right, let me move this back to the PowerPoint. And move the slide. All right, we'll go on to the next duty of a partner with O. All right, the second duty that's required is the duty of care. All right, this means that it is a partner's duty to act reasonably and make good decisions based on information and professional counsel from attorneys and accountants. So to be diligent in making decisions, based decisions on information that has been obtained. All right, we will continue now with authority of the partners. And each partner is a principal and an agent of the partnership and of each other. Right? So when one partner goes out and acts on behalf of the partnership, he or she binds the other partners. Right? Whatever knowledge a partner may have about a transaction or about a piece of property, that is imputed to the other partners as well. It doesn't want to change. Oh, there it goes. All right, let me move on here. All right, now there are two possible types of liability a partnership may have. Those two are joint liability and joint and several liability. Right, joint liability, what does that mean? It means that all the partners share the burden of liability or of judgment that comes up. All right, and all partners should be present, have to be present in any litigation that is brought in a jurisdiction that follows joint liability. Right. If the jurisdiction, however, follows the second type of liability there, joint and several liability, then what does that mean? It means that fewer than all the partners are required to be present. You don't need to have 100% of the partners participate in the lawsuit, and a judgment may be entered against whichever partners are appearing in the lawsuit. It allows those partners that are appearing in the lawsuit to then, after the lawsuit is finished, to go to their partners that did not participate and to seek indemnification from them. Now, indemnification is another important term that you're going to learn this semester. This is our introduction of it. All right. You will see it here in the partnership chapter. All right. And you'll also see it when we talk about corporations. All right. So, I want to illustrate indemnification a bit for you here. This is an example that is in your textbook. It's example 37.8. Okay, 37.8. It is based on a real case, although I'm not sure the citation is given to you in the textbook. All right. It's a little bit kind of a negative example, and what I mean by that is it doesn't show indemnification taking place, but the principal is present there. All right. So the partner in this case that we're looking at was a mother, okay, and she also worked in the partnership. She was a chef, I believe, in a restaurant, and she brought her son to work with her one day. While the son was in the kitchen with her, he was very severely injured. I believe that the accident that took place is he put his hand in the dough press. All right. Now, the son is very injured. The partner mom did not sue the partnership. The son was represented by his dad, who sued the partnership for negligence. All right. And so, of course, there's been injury. The partnership's going to be liable. But what do you think the partnership did? They turned around and they sued the individual partner, the mom, the chef, all right, to get her to indemnify, to reimburse the partnership for the loss that was paid out there. All right. Now, what actually happened when it went to court is the court ruled that the partnership was the one to pay, was the entity that had to pay, and they could not look to the plaintiff's mother, their own partner, for indemnification because this action, this conduct took place in the ordinary course of the partnership's business. But you understand what they were looking for, right? The coverage, they wanted a reimbursement from their individual partner for the loss that took place. That's the idea of indemnification. And if the court had found that the partner mom had done something wrong here or done something out of the ordinary course of partnership business, perhaps then the partnership could have obtained indemnification. All right, so that brings us to the end of part 2. And I will close out this video and we'll start up again with part 3 and look at partnership dissociation and dissolution.